You also go to LA a lot. What is
Yeah.
that about? Why?
Um, that's a good question. My accountant also asked me the same question. No, I love going to America in general. I think I go to New York more than I go to LA, and that's because I have a lot of connections in New York. But I do go to LA. I try once a year because I just get to do so much that I never got to do in Ireland, and I never get to do in Brighton. Maybe occasionally in London, like certain opportunities of like meeting people or something like that. But the reason I go is even if I go for 2 weeks, I promise you that I will have the most exciting content for those 2 weeks. The first time I went was the Free Britney rally, and then there were so many things that happened after that. Last time I went was VidCon and like the influencer parties and stuff. And it's like my main goal in going there, if I'm being honest, to New York is to have a good time with my friends. Whenever I go to LA, is to try have like the most fun with my audience, because whenever I go to LA, all I do is live streams. Whenever I go to LA, all I do is vlog. Like that's not even my big performing videos, but I just like including my audience in that, the muckers, because it's fun to be like, y'all paid for this trip. This is because of you. Let's go do this shit together. And the reason for LA being completely transparent is there's just so many opportunities to do things, especially as a YouTuber meeting so many people. But whenever I go to New York, that's just because that's like my second favorite city ever.
I mean, I think I get it, but at the same time, I've never been to LA, and I'm not particularly somebody who's good at like finding opportunities and stuff like that. So it's not curious. It's like interesting to me how you manage to go and meet all these people. Maybe it's so much easier than I think it is, but you seem to just like meet everybody. You've had so many different opportunities. Everybody knows who you are. It's like, whoa.
I wouldn't say that. I appreciate that, but I wouldn't say that. But one thing I will say to you is my attitude last October before I went to LA for the first time was the exact same. I was on the phone to my mother. I was in tears. I was like, what if I just wasted all this money and nothing's gonna happen? And nothing did happen for the first 2 days. But once people realized that I was out there, the amount of DMs you get from people who you're not even aware are watching your content or have seen you on Twitter are like, hey, come along to this, come along to this, come along to this. It 100% is a case of once you're out there, you get invited to things regardless of if anybody even knows you. Just because it's kind of like, oh, they don't come here that often. Let's invite them.
Okay, so I'm gonna go, and if I get invited to nothing, it's entirely your fault. Like, completely. I'm blaming it all on you. I'll send you my bill,
We need
everything.
to, I don't want the invoice. I'll go together with you and then we can just be like, oh, together.
Absolutely, absolutely. I do really want to go to the States. There's so many things I want to do there. LA, obviously, for like the opportunities and just being
Yeah.
like, I've been to LA now. And because of the L word, I've just convinced myself it's just full of hot women, which it's probably that's not the case. But I've
Oh my God, I
decided
was
to.
wondering what the L word was there. I was like, I thought you were talking about the L train that's in New York. I was a bit confused there. Oh, I get it. I get it. Like,
Absolutely. But you've like, am I right in saying you've met loads of like big YouTubers and stuff? Like you saw James Charles recently. I know that much. I don't think you spoke to him though.
oh, but James Charles sure did stick around me and my friend group all night.
Why?
Like, so we went up to the bar because I wanted a Red Bull because it was, do you realize that at these, I, the reason that I was at this party was because I knew so many people that were invited, and the organizers just felt bad for me and were like, okay, one more won't hurt. So they brought me, but we went up. So all these influencers get free drink bar service all night, which is the most shocking to me. How much would I love that every single night? But anyway, they had a like a mocktail section and a Red Bull. So I wasn't drinking, so I just went up and got my Red Bull or whatever. But James Charles, which is that photo of me here and him there, anytime we would go to the bar, he would move from like the side of the bar to right beside all of us. He wouldn't say a single thing, but he would just directly keep eye contact. So he's going this way, I'm going that way. He wouldn't move, he wouldn't say anything, we wouldn't say anything to him. But I had it down in my head, like the previous conversation we were having. If he was to come up to me, I wouldn't be like, oh, James, nice to see you, or whatever like that, because especially people like him, if they come up to me, I'm not going to be pleasant to you because I don't think people like you're a good person. And I have so many questions for people like James Charles that I don't care if we're at a party and you're drinking, I'm going to ask you them.
Might be the best time to ask as well.
Oh, yeah. And I'll be like, do you have anything to say for the muckers? Like, no,
Not to
I
be obvious.
seriously, like, whenever he walked in, everyone in the party was like, oh my God, James Charles here. Cause he wasn't really with any friends. He wasn't with any security. There wasn't really that many big people at this party. It was the Instagram one. There wasn't that many. It was like TikTokers. It was the Amazon Prime, the bigger names were at. And he was just kind of there. And so everyone was kind of talking about him. And I was like, what happens if, because also he's one of Colleen Ballinger's friends. And he's the one that whenever that drama happened with Colleen, he's the one that did many tweets calling me like a liar, like, oh, he's doing this for attention. He just wants Chloe. I was like, I have so many things to talk to little baby boy about. Like, and so that is something that pops into your head. Like, I don't run into YouTubers in Brighton. I didn't in Ireland. And so whenever I'm face to face with him there, I was going to keep the same energy. I didn't care if one person was watching or nobody was watching. Like, I would love to ask you so many questions. So that was kind of my attitude. But yeah, sorry, that was the thing about James at that party.
Why do you think he was like following you though? Do you think it was so maybe he'd get like a video made about him or something, or like what?
Whenever I say following, I don't mean when we would go to the dance floor, he would be like trailing
Mhm.
behind or whatever. But I just mean whenever it was the bar and like we could be as close as possible for like uncomfortable. I think it was just intimidation because keep in mind, he has me blocked on every single social media. He's talked about me in the past couple months. He talked shit about me during the Colleen thing. This man has a very clear problem with me. And so it was just an intimidation thing. But I thought it was funny as piss. I thought it was so fucking I genuinely was like, this is like I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. Get a picture of this.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit pathetic. I was going to make a terrible joke, and I maybe perhaps shouldn't make it. I really shouldn't. I was just going to say that maybe he was following you because maybe he took a liking, but you might be a bit too old for him.
No,
So,
I'm 19. I'm not 16, babe.
yeah, sorry, a bit too
That's
old.
the difference. Yeah. He was probably coming over to us at the bar trying to like read like my ID because at that you had like a wristband if you were under 21 so that you couldn't get alcohol or whatever. So he probably looked over and saw the wristband and got a little bit interested. You know what I mean? Like under 21. And then he got a bit closer and was like, oh, it's Adam. He's 19. Never mind.
Oh my god. I completely forgot as well that you can't drink in the States till you're 21. That must be so
Fine.
annoying. You go out with everybody and you're there with your little wristband like a
That
child.
that day was most people at that party, by the way, had those wristbands because it was all TikTokers. So I
Oh.
didn't feel excluded. I also didn't really want to drink because I didn't want to be like drunk in a setting with like a lot of YouTubers. And there were also a lot of YouTubers there that I really like. And I was like, I'm not going to be a mess. Like, so it honestly wasn't a problem. And they had good mocktails.
Okay, well, at least that. But I mean, being messy and then like running up to James Charles and being like, okay, bitch, we need to, I have questions. That would be hilarious.
I would have done that sober. I can't imagine what I would have done if I had an unlimited bar service.
Hopefully, somebody would record it if that ever does happen. If we do go and you decide to do that, I'll record the whole thing for you. Don't worry.
I
I got
appreciate that. You'll be
it.
getting the angles in. You'll be getting the different angles.
Yeah, I'll be on the floor, like, make sure I get it so it looks more like intimidating.
Intimidation. I know that from studying film. I appreciate that you said that.
Yeah, I didn't study film, but like, I watched a YouTube video once and that's all I remember. That's all I
You
remember.
probably have as much knowledge on it than I do because my teacher was awful.
I want to get back to what I was asking you about a little bit ago, which was, well, James Charles specifically, but have you met any of the other like big names on YouTube?
Um, are you talking within the drama sphere or just big YouTubers in general?
Just in general.
Well, I mean, I've met Emma a couple times, Emma Chamberlain. She's lovely, really sweet girl. Met Brittany Broski, the most I've ever fangirled, ever. Um, I'm trying to think. There's a lot of situations where you see people, especially in LA, but in terms of meeting and going up to them, I wouldn't go up to a lot of them because I just think that like if I was to see Tana Mojo, I wouldn't go up to her. And it's not that I hate her or anything like that. I just like there's nothing really like what am I gonna go up and be like, I'm not necessarily a fan, but nice to see you. So there's like a lot of situations like that. And one thing I will say is whenever you get out to LA and you start seeing people at these parties, it's kind of a known thing that you don't go up to them. I shouldn't have gone up to Brittany Broski whenever I saw her at the party because you're not supposed to go up to them. You're supposed to, if you're invited to this party, you're supposed to be there and just let everyone coexist. And
Mm-hmm.
that was something I learned. But whenever I saw Brittany, I just couldn't. And she was so sweet as well. But
And
yeah,
she
in
seems like
terms of
she'd be
like,
fine about it as well. Like she just seems like she'd be chill.
she was great and she took a picture and she had a nice conversation while she was getting her drink and like that's kind of the thing. But in terms of like YouTubers that you'll see like day to day in LA, there are a lot of them. not many within the drama sphere, but it's crazy. And once you get out to LA and you're in the social situations, you'll see it, because it's so opposite to what we're used to living in like small cities, small towns. Like people just kind of are like, oh, there's Tana Mojo. Oh, there's Gabby Hanna. There's Trisha Paytas. Like that's the kind of thing. But in terms of the YouTubers that I talk about on a day-to-day basis, I think James may be one of the only ones that I've ever like seen in person.
And you never know, it may happen again.
I hope not.
Showdown. Boxing match. You versus James Charles.
All I need to do is get a pin and do one in each butt cheek, and then he's game out.
I'm going to say no comment to that one. Absolutely no comment. You know, I did for a little while. I enjoyed his content actually. For
Sorry
like
to hear that.
yeah, for like a month period. It was just before he got cancelled for everything and everything came out, and I was like, maybe this was specifically because of me. God was trying to teach me a lesson here. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Go back to watching Jacksepticeye. Like,
yeah,
shush.
he's in Brighton. He's in Brighton. We've seen there was a day like a month or so ago that him and PewDiePie were, because whenever I was going to get my Starbucks order, they were bowling in the area of the Starbucks and they were walking out of it.
Oh my god, I did actually specifically want to ask you if you've ever seen the two of them, because they're like in my top tier YouTubers.
And so I think that was their last day in Brighton, because I remember watching their video then. Yeah, it was the bowling alley that's like right beside my apartment, because it's kind of outside of the town. So like not a lot of people are there, but I was just getting my Starbucks.
If I see, I would have such pain in my heart if I ever did see them, because I just feel like I could be really good friends with Jacksepticeye, first of all, and I would want to say hi, but they've specifically asked people like, please, if we're out, like don't just come up to us. So I'd be like, nobody will ever know that this has happened.
There's a lot of people I know that have, like, not me specifically, but have seen like Marzia and PewDiePie around town and stuff, and it's just kind of like a known thing that like you don't really go up to them. And I didn't know that they didn't want people going up, but I've always known that like people in Brighton just kind of let them coexist. And I think the same with like Zoe and Alfie, and they just kind of let them like go about, which is so different again than what we're used to. But I guess once they live here, it's kind of just like all right, you do you, you do me, which I guess is a really great thing for like privacy and just living.
I hope you enjoyed this Skovcast highlight. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, and share it around. And of course, you can also subscribe and turn on all notifications to keep up to date with new videos. This was just a highlight, but full episodes of Skovcast are available on Wednesdays, both here on YouTube and on streaming services. So do be sure to tune in then. And finally, I just want to ask that you follow the Skovcast TikTok page, and you can follow me on social media everywhere at VangelinaSkov. Plus, there's also a Patreon and YouTube memberships which you can check out in the description. Have a wonderful day!